Welcome to Live, Let, Thrive, a podcast about the Airbnb life, the share economy, and everything in between. Here are your hosts, Myka and Steve.
Hello.
And welcome back to another exciting episode
of Live,
Let
Thrive. What's up, Michael Man?
I am chilling, Stevie Stacks, on this Friday night. How are you doing?
Great. I almost called you Michael because Michael Chang is our guest today. So I was like, right, I almost called you Michael. Myka. Yeah. What's up, Myka Man? Sorry, getting a rocky start already, but dude, I'm doing good. This is my zen. I'm ready to talk some shop on this episode 234 of your favorite Airbnb, VRBO, Booking.com, short-term, mid-term, long-term rental podcast in the world.
Yes, sir, man. We're back at it. It's funny you call me Myka Man. I went into a clubhouse room yesterday and they brought me on stage and Kirk was there and he goes, "It's Myka Man." So I guess that's starting to stick with our audience here. So
Well, everybody knows me as Stevie Stacks.
Yeah.
Yeah, I told you that story about our my old loan officer, whatever, from Wells Fargo. May he rest in peace. And he gave me that nickname, Stevie Stacks. And then I told you about that, and you started calling me that, so it stuck, man.
Let's go.
Stacks of money. That's what's up. Oh, well, anyways, enough about us. We have a special guest on the show, Myka.
Who we got today, Stevie Stacks?
We have a certain Michael Chang on the show. How you doing, Michael?
Hey, I'm doing well. Thanks, guys, for having me on.
Cool. Let me do a little lead-in for you, if you don't mind, if I can still read. Michael is co-founder and partner of Trust B&B Vacation Rentals, based in New York. I'll change it up. He owns and operates a portfolio of short-term Airbnb rentals in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and the Smoky Mountains, Tennessee. Prior to building his own business, Michael was a New York City-based investment banker who spent over a decade advising leading technology companies, private equity firms, family offices, and venture capitalists. He has advised and executed over $40 billion in transaction value across 50-plus deals. Michael was a senior vice president in the technology investment banking group at Jefferies. Prior to Jefferies, he was director in the mergers and acquisitions group of Bank of America, Merrill Lynch, and vice president of mergers and acquisitions group at Citigroup in New York City. What's going on, Michael Chang?
Man, I feel bad making you read all that. I'm sorry.
A lot of
my bad.
Yeah, and especially since Friday night, accidentally I forgot about the podcast. Had a little whiskey, so I got through it. That's the main part. I got through it, and welcome to the show. I want to start off with the first question. How do you go from billions in mergers and acquisitions to short-term rentals? How the hell does that happen?
That happens when you work like 120 hours a week and you don't see your friends or family, and you want to change. Kind of high finance in New York for 10 years, and it was great, and I loved the experience, but I just knew that there was just something else for me in life, and real estate, Airbnbs. I was lucky to find it, and it just gave me, and it says we in the bio because my wife and I started a business together, so it's definitely a we. But it's been a great ride over the last 5 years.
You started 5 years ago.
Yeah, we started really, I guess 6 years now. We started as a side hustle in December 16. Wife's dad has a building, and a small building in New York, and it was a vacancy. It was like a 3-2, 3-bedroom, 2-bath. Tenants moved out. We read about Airbnb. Let's try it. We did it a few months, like, oh wow, this is pretty amazing. This kind of class B- product with not a lot of thought into the furniture can do this kind of cash flow. And I was a numbers guy, so I was like, okay, well, there's something here. We need to like really figure this out. So that was the start.
Yeah, so it's funny you should say that, because back in the day, before Airbnb started becoming like crazy deal, I've been to New York a few times, New York City. And man, I mean, to stay outside of Manhattan, miles and miles away, is still going to cost you $200 a night. And I was like, God dang, dude, there was no options. You had to pay out your ass to stay in New York City, And anywhere close by, anywhere far away, it was expensive. So then Airbnb started popping up like yours, and started, whoa, holy crap, we can print money with these things.
I mean, 3 bedrooms, like I think in the beginning, I mean, we didn't know what we were doing. In the beginning, we were doing like 250 a night. Well, in the beginning, actually, we were doing single rooms because we're like, oh, okay, well, this is it's better to do single rooms because we can make more money this way. You know, that wasn't correct, but it got us started. But yeah, I mean, you know, it would do like, you know, sometimes do more than 10K a month, and it was just like, this is ridiculous. And you know, we were, you know, 25 minutes outside of Manhattan. So we just knew we did that. Once we did that first one, we knew there was something there. So from there, we grew to like we grew to about 40 units, both in New York and in Jersey City, which is right across the river from Manhattan. And you know, over like 3 years. So you know, we're both still working, but doing it as a side hustle until my wife, we got married, and then she quit her job to do it full time. So able to kind of scale that. And I mean, you know, now people won't believe the kind of numbers you could put up in New York City back in the day.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But they came at you hard, right? With the ban.
Yeah. The ban. I mean, there's a deeper ban actually that's going to start up in, you know, 3 weeks. I mean, we're not in New York anymore. So you know, as you introduced me, we're in Philadelphia and Tennessee. We learned our lesson, but it now there's even stricter rules that are coming on the 9th of January. So, you know, there are a lot of operators still in New York City, but the game, you know, the game's going to change a lot.
Now, and doesn't Philly have kind of strict laws or coming down with policies and laws at the moment?
Yeah. Philly too. Not as strict as New York. Philly is, as long as you're in a residential, as long as you're in a commercially zoned district, certain kind of commercially zoned districts, you're able to Airbnb. So, like I said, we learned our lesson from New York City, and we're in commercial buildings in Philadelphia. So, the regulation is actually good for us because, I mean, you know, good for us in a way that supply is going to be constrained, if not declining in the near term.
Got rid of the riffraff.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, there are people out there doing like a good job. They're just not, you know, the rules weren't clear. So like, I got a lot of respect for people that do this business. It's not an easy business. You guys know that. It's it's just like a lot of single man shops, single woman shops, or like, you know, 2 people, couple, just trying to like make it, right? Try to make some money for them and their family. So I got a lot of sympathy for people that they get impacted by some of these rules, because behind every Airbnb, it's like there's someone's like dream, you know. So I'm very, very cognizant of that. But I mean, we've been lucky to be able to grow the business in Philadelphia. You know, we have the background in investment banking, and it has some money from that. So, you know, been able to build a nice business. And for us, it really was just like, we want to build something where, you know, we can spend time with our kids, spend time with each other, just like have a life that we wanted, versus just busting our hump for, you know, 800 hours a week and never seeing each other and all that stuff. So that was like, you know, it's just like when intention, some people intention is to get a Lambo. For us, it's just like spend time with the family.
I love it. Now your portfolio mixture, you said you have a total of 26 units, and you said they're a mix of ownership and arbitrage. What's your balance? Like, is it 60-40, 50-50? How does that?
We own 6 of them, the rest we arbitrage. We actually just signed a deal today for 13 more units in Philly. So
nice.
Yeah. We like the Philly market. But yeah, like there's and we can talk about it more, but you know, if you combine arbitrage and buying, it's really, really powerful. Like, you really can. You guys know this, right? Yeah, I'm preaching to choir, and for your audience, you really maximize. You know, for me, it's all about how much money I get to keep at the end of the year, right? It's not about how much revenue. And a lot of people like, you know, puff about revenue and listings and whatnot. But for me, it's all about how much money in my pocket. And for me, that's like after taxes too. So I want to keep as much of that as possible, right? And do units that are like, you know, our units are, you know, they do a lot better. They're like 85th to 95th percentile in the market. So they do well. So we say quantity over quantity all the time. We want to take the best units. Like, these units we're taking right now are 3 bedrooms that have parking, amenities, and all that good stuff. So just like do stuff with intention. I guess that's that, you know, I feel like that's what we've had to guide us in this journey for us.
Yeah, I like that because I mean, I do a mix of arbitrage and ones we own, and plus we manage also. So I've always told people, and I was able to purchase one of the arbitrages, and I'm working on purchasing two more of the ones that we arbitrage. And I'm just working on the owners. They like me. I'm paying on the first of the month. Blah blah blah. I'm their best tenant ever kind of thing. And so fixing little things. And so it's just for me it's an entryway to buy this product, and plus I get to test. It's kind of like I get to test it out, test drive, and see, oh, this thing can make me $3 or $4 grand a month. If I buy it from this person at 300 grand, even if the mortgage is 2,500 a month, I'm still going to make 2 or 3 grand a month on this thing. I get to try it out first. That's what's cool about doing arbitrage and ownership thing. And so when you said so you got 26 and 6 of them are owned, right? 6 of them are owned.
Yeah.
The rest are arbitrage.
Yeah, we own the vacation cabins in Tennessee.
Okay. So this is what came to my mind. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No, go ahead. No, please.
So this is what came to my mind. We had a guest a few shows ago. What's his name? Myka. Sabio.
Yeah. I know Alex.
Yeah, Alex.
I know Sabio. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Well, that's what he was talking about. He brought up this thing called cross segregation, right? Of getting a house, and you purchase the house every year, and you get to do the cross segregation study, and you get to write off 100% bonus depreciation. He's legally hasn't had to pay taxes in a few years because he gets to write off all the depreciation up front. And I was like, holy crap. So he's combining, buying, these places, plus he's doing short-term rentals and making all this money. Plus he has a W-2 income still.
Yeah,
he makes a lot of money doing that. Yeah. Hey, it's going to be a shitload of taxes you're going to pay. You got to do something. So he's doing the cross seg, and it counterbalances all that, plus with some left over. I'm like, whoa, holy shit. You learn something new every day. So that's what's cool about it.
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly what we do. I mean, Alex is a little different because Alex, he actually has a W-2 job. So he's a healthcare professional. And I won't get into all the details, but that's exactly what, if you have a full-time job, but you'd still do short-term rentals, as long as you meet some certain rules, you'll still be able to offset that bonus depreciation, to offset that expense against your active income, which is really powerful. There's nothing else like that actually anywhere. So for anyone that's curious about this, you really need to dig in, because you can save yourself a lot of money and compound your capital a lot faster. However, and this is where the arbitrage game becomes supercharged, is if you take your arbitrage income and you can protect your arbitrage income using the same strategy as what Alex has described, like buy places, cost seg them, get the bonus, and then that protects against all of your arbitrage income. So it does both for the active income and both for arbitrage income. And it's actually easier to do against arbitrage income because of other tax rules, which I won't get into, but that's my finance background. Like I'm pretty conversant in these things. So, and you don't pay self-employment tax on arbitrage income. So that's another 15.3% that you save. So, I mean, I'm still not smart enough because I live in New York City, so I still got to pay state and local taxes. But if I lived in Tennessee or Florida or Texas, good. I wouldn't pay anything.
Wow. Well, he was in California too. That's a high tax place.
That's a high tax. Yeah,
and he doesn't pay taxes over there. That's insane.
He's paying state taxes for sure. I mean, he's not paying federal taxes. He's paying state taxes now. State tax rules aren't. They don't recognize bonus depreciation. That's just a federal rule concept. Anyways, this is too much. Like, I don't want to bore your audience with like.
Oh, go ahead. I mean, that's the type of stuff we're into.
Yeah, no, state and local taxes, they don't respect us. But the bonus depreciation, it's a federal rule. It's not a state or local rule. So the states don't respect that. So you have to add that back on your state returns and pay your state taxes.
And one more thing on that note before we get into other topics. So he has a great CPA, right? And the lady from BiggerPockets, forgot her name. I'm sorry,
Amanda.
There you go. Yeah, and she's the one that told him, that started telling him to do short-term rentals, because that would turn him into a real estate professional, and he could write off a bunch more stuff. So
Yeah.
it's just another reason to get into arbitrage, to get into short-term rentals, to get into things like that, so you can save a lot of money in taxes, which is our number one expense in life, right? That's what I do.
That I'm so glad you mentioned that. People don't think about that. People are like, oh, like housing or whatever. But no, your taxes, if you're paying 40%, right? I mean, that's, every dollar you make, 40 cents goes to the government. Like if you imagine you get that 40 cents back, I mean, your world is different, right? So, yeah. So, I mean, it's kind of like, I can make $1 million in banking, right? But that's, I'm going to take it home, like say 500. I make 500 in short-term rentals, like, I keep the 500. So, without, and then doing your own thing. So, we're talking about why I'm in this game is because, I spend 5 hours a week managing that portfolio because, I got VAs and got all the systems planned out now. And my time is spent on growing the business and, living life, like, being my family. I got a 1-year-old daughter. So that's and my guy, I know, I know you're real about that. You're big on the family side too. So I'm 100% about that. Like that is my focus, is, compounding capital, and then like just being able to spend my time how I want.
I love that.
I'll be waiting for your book, The 5-Hour Work Week.
Used to be the 120-hour work week. So see these bags under my eyes? I'm still there, man.
Hey, so I noticed you said you own 6. Now your 6 that you own, you said they're in Tennessee. Was there a reason why you wanted to choose to go to like the vacation rental market route?
Yeah, that's a great question. I wouldn't buy in Philadelphia, for example. Maybe now the rules are a little clearer, but cities change their rules all the time. So that's a big piece of advice for everyone here. It's if you buy something, just make sure that it's in a place that either like really respects property rights, right? Or second, just as a long-standing tradition of short-term rentals, so that they don't change it. Like in Tennessee, in Pigeon Forge and Gatlinburg, the entire economy is based on tourists, overnight rentals. If you ban that, like the people there, they wouldn't eat. So that's the best protection you have, right? It's like the people that live there and pay taxes, like they depend on the industry. That's your best protection. And when you're in Philadelphia or New York, for example, just the tenant laws, the hotels are really strong there. So they see, I mean, they feel like they're taking their money. So they got the politicians on speed dial, and eventually they'll come back and get you. So look, arbitrage is great, right? Like, you find a good market, you make a lot of money on it. That's great cash flow. But if you just keep getting more arbitrage units, at least in my opinion, that's not a path to long-term wealth, right? You're just running on the hamster wheel. It's very capital intensive too. It might be very profitable, but you don't have a lot of cash in your pocket at the end of the day, because you feel this need to continue to grow. And you know why? It's because the landlords are always giving you more units. And you don't want to look weak in front of your landlord, right? You're like, oh, I have to take it, or Steve's going to come take it, right? I'm in a competition in my building, or Myka, that's my landlord's going to be like, oh, maybe something's wrong with his operation. Why does he take these units? So you always feel this pressure to do more with that. And in the end, all you own is a furniture and a lease that's not assignable. Whereas like if you own property, like you own the property, there's a tax benefit, there's appreciation, there's leverage. It's if you combine those two things, it's a beautiful thing.
I'm so glad you brought that up, because I tell people, if you're just picking up arbitrage after arbitrage, you could have really took some of that capital in those next 20 arbitrage you got and bought a house. If you really think about it, you could have just bought something, furnished it, and ready to go. But it's one of those things. It's a mindset thing. You have to have that. And I know you're a family guy like me, so I have to have that long-term goal and mindset in place. So I'm happy you brought that up to the listeners.
Yeah. Look, I mean, it's different. If you're like a 20-year-old college student, you're just like, I want to try to get to a certain number as fast as possible. Look, I respect that too, right? But if you're a little older and you have a family, or if you think about life in a different way, right? About like more like long-term kind of steady wealth creation, I think it's a better way. Because the arbitrage game too, you got to remember, like I knew, we've been around for a while, and I sent a lot of dead bodies after COVID. guys that have like 150, 200 units. People just didn't, like, we just stopped hearing from them, in our mastermind groups and our groups. They just stopped, they disappeared. And you just worry about them, because like it was kind of game over. And that's the thing. It's a very highly levered business model. So you just got to be careful. Like, you don't want to do all this, you don't want to spend all this time, like all this work, all this money, and then like lose it all, right? Like BK and lose it all. Like, that's not what you want. You want to, like, every year, like you're growing, 10, 15, 20%, because in like 4 years, you're going to double up, right? Versus trying to grow, like double up in 2 years, 3 years, and then in 5 years, you don't have anything. I think all the people that are like day traded, like bought like these crazy stocks or crypto, like where are they at now, right? Like it doesn't work. It just doesn't, like, you got to time it really good. If you're that smart, like, good for you, but very few people are that smart. Most people, hold bag. They hold bags at the end of the day.
Hey man, depending on fast money is a dangerous game.
It's a dangerous game. That's a slow, like real estate's a nice slow game. Airbnb already is like such a cheat code on I own one short-term rental in Philly for tax reasons. And I think I make $250 a month on that. And like, so in a year, what is that, right? I make like $3K, right? In one of my, in one of my smoky cabins, like during Christmas, like we'll cash flow like 18K a month. So like 6 years in 1 month.
That's what I tell people, man. That's the good thing. And that's my future goal, is to get into vacation rental markets because of that reason. Like, I see the numbers. I'm like, people cash flowing 10, 15, 30, 10, 15, 20,000 in a month. I'm like, damn, I got to get to that vacation rental market. That's the beautiful thing.
Yeah. And it doesn't lose. And, in bad months, it doesn't even lose money, right? Because there's just enough. I mean, if you do it right, we don't lose money. Well, we have not, I don't want to jinx myself. But if you do it right, like those markets are really, really steady too. So it's really important to, just, like approach with intention and just kind of do the work up front so that you can grow steadily, consistently, don't crap out. And in 5-10 years, like, you're like, oh, okay, I've done I have a really nice portfolio of 10 short-term rental properties, say they're $500,000, $1 million each, got $5-10 million bucks of property, loans being paid down. I got a nice business, got a nice STR. I got a nice like arbitrage business that's doing 300-400K a year, and you're working 10 hours a week, and you get to you can walk your kid to school, play with them, pick them up, give them a bath, put them down, and like life's good, right? Versus like before, I was like traveling, I was stressed out on my phone, I was taking calls like every second I was awake. That's the life of like investment banking is cool, right? Like private jets and Four Seasons and $1 billion deals, like big paychecks. It's great. Like, no, I mean, I wouldn't give that up. I wouldn't trade it back, but different like things at different points in your life.
So early on, when we first started this podcast many years ago, there was a guy that came on and started telling us about the Smoky Mountains. He was printing money over there, and he said, y'all should get in on this thing. He goes, but now the prices are high because when I got in, nobody knew about it, and now we're paying like 80,000, 100,000 for these things. And me and Myka were like, oh man, that's a lot of money. And now, so now you're laughing probably because like those days are way gone, right?
Man, you should listen to that guy, dude.
Who's that guy?
I gotta talk to him. Maybe I gotta figure out what the guy's doing. I'm gonna follow him.
What's his name? Do you remember?
That's Lucas Carl, man.
Lucas Carl.
Oh, Luke and Avery.
Yeah, that's the guy.
Dude, Avery was my broker first going in there, man. No, dude.
You listened to him. We didn't listen to him. You listened to him, and we could have got him for cheap back then. And you got in at decently cheap, I'm sure, compared to what they're valued at now. So what prices were you getting into back then and these things, so these Smoky Mountain spaces?
I get credit. My wife is the one that founded Smoky, so I really credit to her. Like, she, networked with Avery, who's Luke's wife, and does the broker thing. But we started buying in mid 2020, so we weren't that early. But what we did is we bought everything off after the first deal with Avery. We bought everything off market. So we were able to develop, a way to get stuff off MLS, not on MLS. So we're able to, get stuff at good prices, and more importantly, just getting good good product, good location. Like that's even more important, actually. and not overpay, right? We were never in any bidding wars. I mean, there are people that paid a lot of money. Actually, this funny story. We did actually find something on MLS that we really liked. It was this it was brand new cabin, beautiful view. It was a floor forward, this beautiful pool, like one of the best pools I've seen. And the house was like, it was like brand new, like finish. It was like, it basically looked like gold. Like it was like this shimmery, like really golden brown color. And my wife was like, "Oh, this is really good. We should get this." And we bid in hindsight a kind of stupid number. Thank God we got outbid by someone else that paid $100,000 more than us. Like, thank God. Like sometimes the best deals that, like as disciplined as you can be, you still make mistakes. And like thank God, or thanks, someone was looking out for us, because like we lost that, and now like obviously that thing's not trading at that level. It's not trading at 1.8. It's probably like way below that. But thank God I got the person that bought it at 1.9. Like, thank you for them, because it saved us the time, saved us a big headache there. But yeah, it was just a funny anecdote. Sometimes the best deals are the ones that you don't do, actually.
That is true. I mean, they said 25% of people are underwater right now, man. It's getting ugly out there. So yeah, good job to that person.
So speak towards that, because you're saying you're making these like during the holidays $18,000 a month profit in these cabins over there in the Smokies. Now, I know that the secret was out a few years back of the Smokies, and everybody went there. So is there saturation in the Smokies?
Oh, definitely. There's something AirDNA that came out. Supply continues to grow in the Smokies. Demand is, demand growth is coming down. So there definitely is an imbalance now. We're going to see more of that in 2023. So really important that if you're there, that you make sure you operate at a high level, right? You got to be 50th percentile or above, right? Because the Smokies is still going to get people, right? You got to understand, like, people are still going to come to the Smokies. It's not like people are going to not go to the Smokies. It's just they're going to have a lot more choice. So you just have to make sure that you are, a cabin that gets chosen. So cabins that are mismanaged on price, not great decor, that kind of stuff, bad location, those are the ones that are going to, I think, feel more pain. But all of us are going to feel some pain there. But that is kind of the nature of the game a little bit. You have to, there's cycles, right? It goes up, it goes down. So I was talking about like just being consistent in the growth of your capital. Like if you went all in the last 6 months, for example, in Smokies, then, if you don't have a big cash reserve, you might be in some trouble for the next 12 to 18 months.
12 to 18 months. Wow. Now I do have a question for you. So like, Airbnb is now showing the total price, and, everyone on Instagram was just flipping out. They're like, everybody's bookings just took a jump off a cliff. Have you started to notice that in either the Smokies or Philly?
No.
Wow.
No, sir.
That's
no,
cool.
Sir. No, we, like, I think the people that, complain candidly are the ones that like have trouble in their business, and like that's the only way they can like kind of talk about it. The people that are making money, they don't have time to they don't have time to post about how, about stuff like that. No, we're fine. Again, I think if your product is good, you're going to get booked, especially in a good markets that have steady demand, like in Philadelphia, like, Tennessee, like in Austin, things like that, right? Like those markets are always going to get booked. So as long as your product is a certain level, like you'll be okay. Like you'll get booked. Maybe your rate might not be as great as before, right? Like 2021 rates were anomaly, right? Those aren't coming back. And if you bought based on that price, like it's going to hurt a little bit. Like it's going to be materially below that level. But if you have a good product, you might not get that price, but you'll get the occupancy. The problem is if you don't have that product, it doesn't matter how low you cut. There's only a certain level you can cut, right? Until you get like the squatters and the druggies and the partiers, right? Like you get the people that start cooking in your places, and then you're out of the game.
Right? That's my target market, bro.
$29 for a 3-bedroom.
Yeah, fuck yeah, come on in, cook it up.
No, in those markets, because, like having a 12, 18-month reserve, when stuff goes slow, how do you analyze those vacation rental market properties? Are you just, because I know everything's based on short term, like how do you analyze to say, okay, This is as a short term, this is going to do this, because in metro markets, I analyze it based on long term, and then the short term is just icing on the cake, right? How are you analyzing those deals?
So I have my own system that I design where so I'm my finance background. I have an MBA from Cornell, and 10 years in a bank, looking at deals, right? And underwriting, building Excel models is like what I did for a very long time. So building my model, and then really using AirDNA, using a couple different methods to get the occupancy data, to get the ADR data, to get us to a revenue that we're comfortable with, right? And then developing a base case, high case, low case, and then knowing our expenses, right, to drive a profitability number, and then taking at that how much investment we're going in there, what's my payback period. So a bunch of different things that we look at to make sure that we're getting into an investment that we think has a high probability of success. I respect definitely the long term, kind of having the long term as a fallback. That definitely works. It's a really good approach, because you always have a fallback position. But in the Smokies, though, like, you would never do the Smokies, because those cabins do not have a long term renter in there, right? Those are short term. Those are all vacation folks.
Yeah,
that's yeah. Like you won't even cover your electricity. I mean, it'd be hard to cover your electricity bill with the long term.
Yeah. See, and that's why I eventually want to get into the VR space, because it is way different from the metro markets. Definitely.
Metro markets are great for arbitrage. Where do you remind me where are your arbitrage? Where are your units?
We arbitrage in the DFW area, and then I buy in a smaller rural area. But I'm going to start. Once I start really ramping up to the number of long-term doors I want in the metro areas, I'm going to move over to the vacation rental market. I love that model.
What do you think of the Dallas rules that are coming out?
It sounds like they're going more towards the Philly route, because you guys said you're good in commercial. Seems like they're more or less, Dallas just doesn't, the older demographic just wants them out of residential neighborhoods. That's basically what it sounded like. I don't know. What else have you heard, Steve?
Same thing. The single family homes in residential areas, it doesn't look good for them. We might still be able to do it out of apartment complexes, multifamily, stuff like that, kind of like what Arlington does. Arlington, Texas did the same kind of thing. But yeah, single families, it's not looking good. And it's funny, I'm in a group that talks about this, and what they're involved in the fight, and a lot of us today, someone were like, well, what is y'all's plans if I have like 5 houses in Dallas? What are y'all's plans if this goes through? What do we do? I hope you didn't base your numbers on short-term rental numbers, because you got to either turn them into regular traditional long-term rentals, or corporate rentals, or sell these things. I mean, there's not really, you can't just say your business is dying because of this one thing. You shouldn't have based your whole business on that model.
Yeah. For people that bought based off that, definitely in some trouble, right? And that's why, my point, I would never buy short-term, I would never buy a short-term rental based off of just those numbers in an area like Dallas, right? It would have to pencil as at least an MTR, if not a LTR, for me to do that deal. But those deals don't have a lot of juice in there, right? So I think for me, it's more like doing the work to try to find markets. There's another one that we found too that we really like, where kind of vacation rental market that we feel will have longevity there, that we can buy, invest, and then give us some really good cash to cash return. So yeah, following the herd is not following the herd is tough, right? Because you're kind of late to the game, so you're buying other people's bags at a certain point there. So you just have to kind of be careful.
Yeah, because I know right now everyone's running down to Alabama Gulf Shores. So you start seeing those markets where everyone's just piling in there. So yeah, you definitely got to. I like how you said you're doing your own research on different markets, because think Rose Tipka came on and she told us about a market up in Michigan, or I think it was Michigan. We had no clue about, but it's killing it, So there are still those markets out there, especially if you know an area. I think there's areas in the Pacific Northwest that people would die for it. They just don't, if you just know about it and take advantage of it.
Yeah. So yeah, just networking, talking with people that you get along with, just being kind of being a good person, right? Like sharing your information. You got people, someone's looking for help them out. And then everyone does better. So very much on that mindset. Like Alex Sabio too, like he helped a lot of people, helped me, like questions I had on a new purchase that I bought. Like he helped me out trying to figure out, what to do, certain things I didn't know about. Like he's like, oh, okay, I did this and that and the other. It's like, okay, well, this is actually really good advice. So even people that have been, I've been doing it for a long time, I still get still learn from others. So keeping an open mind for sure. Listen to you guys, especially your show. Y'all's got good nuggets, really, really good, really, really good nuggets. So I love it.
Thank you for listening, man.
We try. That's what we should change our name to. Good Nuggets. That's instead of Live Let Thrive. I want to touch on one thing, because you mentioned it in passing, is the so people come into markets, but you're established and you do things a certain way that you're not worried about these scrubs coming into the market, right? So how do you differentiate? It's a hard word to say when you're on whiskey. Differentiate your units from those young scrubs coming through, these 20-year-olds that are trying to, I'm gonna get me an arbitrage and do this and that, and then they get their asses kicked. But you do okay. How are your units different than theirs?
Yeah, look, I mean, there's some really smart 20-year-old kids. So, I don't want Gen Z to get me mad.
Not too many.
But I would say, one thing is they're undercapitalized generally. They don't have enough money to, they have enough for the basics. They're like, kind of more of an IKEA special versus doing, kind of giving the design, using design to your advantage and having it look good, right? I'm lucky. My wife comes from a luxury goods background. She spent a bunch of years at Tiffany's. So she really understands like the luxury game, making stuff look nice and giving the guests a good experience, right? So that I think that's the first thing, is maybe not enough capital to actually do it right. And second is just not having the right systems in place. And what I mean by that is they're just on Airbnb. They're not on all the different platforms, and they don't know how to actually have a proper guest experience. So, they can't consistently keep above a 4.85, 4.9 reviews, and they're constantly, have a bad guess. Then they have to take down their listing, redo it again. And then, they're always like brand new listing, or like, 8 reviews at like 4.73. And then, a week later that listing's gone, and to do it over again. Like I know this game too, right? So, that makes it a lot tougher business, because you're always going uphill because your product's just not good enough. And, you can't scale that way, right? Like you're going to recreate your listings every like 2 months. You can, but it's just a lot of time. That time could be spent, if you kind of did it right in the beginning, right? That time can be spent on growth.
That reminds me of, so we have a buddy, a friend of the show. He listens, and he's a friend of ours too, Elijah Bellel. Myka, Elijah. He comes to all of our events and stuff. So 2 arbitrages that we managed for somebody. They wanted out. It's a slow season. People are struggling, and they're trying to buy a house. So they just wanted them off the books and said, "Hey, can you chop these around, see if anybody wants them?" So Elijah said he'd take them, right? And so they're even giving them the furniture dirt cheap, the IKEA special, like you mentioned. And I said, well, you get this furniture dirt cheap, you're getting into these things, you can start making money day one. He's like, you know what? It's a good deal and all, but yeah, I don't want that furniture, I want, he mentioned you, Myka. He's like, I want to travel. I want to target a certain demographic. I want to have king size beds. I want to have this kind of furniture, this kind of sofa, this kind of TVs. He goes, so that stuff that got in there, it doesn't fit what I'm going for. Even though it's dirt cheap, I'm going to go ahead and put in what, the stuff. I'm going to have my designer design it correctly. And I'm going to have my things that target the people I want to put in there. And I was like, whoa, that was gangster right there. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, you don't want to inherit someone else's problem. Look, I mean, sometimes it's because something's cheap. It's cheap for a reason, right? Like, don't get fooled by that. I mean, you're trying to, you still got to pay that rent. So, yeah, no, it's funny. The deal that we're doing right now, there's a bunch of furniture in there, but it's like the landlord was like, oh, there's like, I'll sell it to you. I was like, I don't want it. You can throw it away if you want. Like, I don't want any, like, and he was like, oh, really? Like, you sure? I was like, I don't need, like, I wouldn't put full size beds in a bedroom. Like, they're king beds. Like, people are on vacation. Like, that's how you get to 85 percentile and above, right? Like, that's the game. That's not like queen beds, that like metal bed frames, no box spring. Like, that's not going to do, like, that's just not going to work. someone that's going to pay like $275 a night is not going to want that, right? You're going to get like someone's pay like a buck and a quarter, and leave your kitchen a mess. And I know it's just not like there's just a way to do this properly, which we've been able to develop over the last few years. And for us, it's like we built a mousetrap that we know works, so we're just going to replicate that mousetrap. Like, not smart enough to build another mousetrap, just one thing that works and just replicate that.
One thing you guys are both dropping some good gems, because like if you're buying turnkey units, because I watch a lot of Alex Sabia too. I follow all the short-term rental people. He just bought one, I think down in the Smokies or somewhere, and he said,
yeah, just closed, yeah.
Yeah, and he's like, hey, this thing was turnkey, but he said I had to go get new stuff, because when you are doing like the turnkey thing, especially right now when people are hopping out of the game, you do have to be prepared to spend that extra cost, because we all operate differently, right? Some people don't operate with the target market. Some people don't operate to the level that you want to operate at. So you got to be prepared to go ahead. Yeah, you're getting it turnkey, but you might have to get rid of all that stuff, because if they're operating catering to this group and you want to cater to this group, you got to set aside that cost. So in the short-term rental space, I don't think there's a such thing as a turnkey investment. It's turnkey, but it's not, because you definitely have to change things up, man. Like, people just don't operate the same. So systems are different as well. Like I got to have a StayFi in all my systems. They probably don't have those. So it's so many things that come into play on that. Good point.
Hey, you gotta look at Savio's latest video about how you kind of hack around StayFi. I actually think it's a better system. I actually think it's a very elegant system that he's cracked, and we're going to do the same thing in our cabins. I actually think it's a great idea, actually.
Go ahead. Let's throw it out there.
No. So basically, like, just throw on a QR code, right? So basically, everyone wants, what's the first thing you go when you go to Airbnb? What's the first thing you got to do besides use the bathroom, maybe, right? First thing you got to do is, what's the Wi-Fi, right? Wi-Fi, everyone's like, what's the Wi-Fi, right? So, you walk around the house and look for the Wi-Fi, right? It's either in the manual or maybe they post a sign. So what's a better way of doing that? Post a QR code. Now everyone post-COVID knows a QR code. Public QR code. It goes to like a Linktree site, for example, right? Has your thing on there, but it's also like, hey, give us your email for. You can also be like, give us your email for the Wi-Fi information, right? They have a subscribe button there. It goes right into your MailChimp, and then the return message can be like, this is your Wi-Fi password. So it's the same thing as SafeHi, or you can put it on other parts of the link tree, and also then you can like say you have a referral code for DoorDash or GoPuff if you're in Philly, right? Like we do, or discounts for other vendors in your market, for example. So instead of StayFi, where you get the email like Waha, and you're paying like $200 for the equipment, it breaks down, you gotta get someone to fix it. Like, this is way more elegant. You have no other equipment besides your internet. You get the email right into your MailChimp, and you might make some money from the referral codes, and you like give them a better experience because they click on it for the house guide, click on it for coupons, this, that, and the other. So it's a revenue source for you versus being a revenue source for StayFi, sir. And that's Savio. That's not me. And we're doing that because Savio cracked the code on that, and I love it.
I like that. Linktree play. That Linktree play is a big one. That is a big one. I like that. And then
it's free.
I know it's free. You can send them any link you want.
And you can manage it remotely. You never have to worry about your StayFi breaking down, someone unplugging your internet, any of that stuff, right? And you're not paying for the equipment. You never have to worry about it.
Like that. Has he found a way to grab their email, their phone number though?
You can pay for the higher tier and then have it take the email too. Take the phone number too. There are ways that you can play around. Like, once you get them to on your site, you can do whatever the heck you want, right? It doesn't have to go to a link tree. You can just go to a landing page, for example, that is just like, hey, thanks for staying at the cabin. Enter your name and phone name, enter your name, address, phone number, whatever, your birthday, for example, whatever it is. That goes on a form into MailChimp, and then the MailChimp, you can set it up where it gives you an email right away or text right away if you want to hook it up to Twilio or something, right? So then it shoots them over the Wi-Fi information. You can do anything. Once you have it on the website, you can do anything you want.
Hey, man,
that's the beauty of it.
I want to be in touch with you regarding that, because I want to know your progress. Because that is dope. I like that.
Yeah, not my, again, I just try to find good ideas from people and just try to just tweak it so it works for me. So again, just keep an open mind, right, on how you can be better, because there are a lot of smart people in this industry, and just like find smart people and I learn from them.
So on that,
podcast. Go ahead, Steve.
Yeah, on that note, how do you let me see, what's your percentage of stays that are direct stays instead of like from Airbnb and stuff?
This is the sad part. I gotta learn from you guys. Now we're probably 70% Airbnb and the rest VRBO, Booking, Expedia, but we're predominantly Airbnb. Direct bookings like sub 2%. Maybe.
Oh, okay.
It's not much.
Okay.
Philly people don't come back, right? So that's one thing. Philly doesn't really work. Smokies, it would work. We haven't cracked the code yet. You know what I talked about, what Alex just did. We're gonna, obviously we'll try that as well. But we haven't cracked the code. I have a different mindset about direct bookings. I want my, Airbnb does a great job of marketing, and I know building your house on someone else's land.
Mark Simpson.
I get it. I love Mark. But I would say, if I can build a really, they're helping me with marketing, their systems are going to be way better than mine, right? So why don't I just build a really nice house on that and then drive traffic to that, and it's going to convert for me. There's definitely a risk of getting kicked off of that, so definitely mindful of that. But we're just, again, we don't know how to do that kind of direct marketing well, and I did the math. It's just like we might make a little bit of money on that, but I'd rather spend that time on, making money, like doing stuff that we're already good at, just kind of like taking that mousetrap that we know how to do and just like pouring resources and time into that versus trying to build different mousetraps, because it's hard. Like it's hard to find something that works, right? And that's the thing also, like people in a lot of different markets, I don't know how people do that well. I mean, some people can do it really well, but for me, it's like find like 1-2 good markets that like you really know the right cleaners, know the area, know all that stuff, and then just like grow there. That's our strategy.
Good idea.
Yeah. Here's one thing with because we go through this too. We're trying to get to the direct bookings, and man, I lost my train of thought, because you're saying you got like around 2%, right? 2%.
Yeah, it's very, very low. Yeah.
And I'm thinking, automatically I was thinking, well, Philly, yeah, you see it once, you're good. But the Smokies, I was thinking, man, that's more like a family oriented thing. They go there and they see like a family vacation. It's like, this is really nice. We're gonna rent this. This is a beautiful place. We're gonna rent it next year. Everybody, we're gonna rent this freaking place next year. And I think that would just be a layup, right? I mean, in my mind, I'm like, you have all your QR code, boom, 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 rent it next year, you get a 10% discount. I don't know, however you want to do it, but it seems like a layup.
We've done that. Yeah, that's exactly what we do. That's like for us, I think kind of the lowest common denominator there is just like we get their emails a certain way, and then we will every month, like one of the VAs sends an email, like, find some local event, and then if you come back, use our direct booking site and take 10% off. Actually, we give $200 off, because 10% on some of those nights are too big. So I can't give up that much margin.
Right.
But I'll just pay them. Yeah, give them a couple $100 off to rebook. We've had one or two. I mean, the thing's only been there for like 2 years, so there's not enough time for that enough emails and time for me to come back. But I agree with you, right? Like you have to know. You need to know. You got to get the info for your own guests, right? Or their Airbnb's customers. So you got to get your email, name, phone number, and then like converting that into direct bookings, we need to do a better job of. So if you guys got future guests that are like ninjas of that, please book them so I can listen to the show.
One thing I will say, Steve made a good point. People coming back is definitely it's a target audience type thing, right? So when you come to Philly, I don't know what your target audience is, but how I've been getting people to direct book with me in Dallas is I'm starting to really shift towards business travel. So I had this company, they just booked two of my places directly in Dallas, but I'm just kind of networking with the business. So then they come back. I think Philly, if business travel is like kind of more your style or niche up there, you could definitely get people to book direct. So direct bookings is very much, it's a target audience thing. If you're just having more or less tourist transient, it's usually not going to get direct. So I wouldn't even waste my time if that's not your target, So yeah, that target audience is really key when it comes to direct bookings. If you want to listen to a really good episode on like getting direct bookings in like vacation rental markets, I would say listen to our episode with Rose Tipka. she does a very good job of doing it. Like, and it's kind of how Steve said it, the family oriented thing. Like she networks with all the local people, and same with what's his name? Doug. Doug's
How's it say Doug?
Doug's the beast. Doug's the next level at it. Like he has them, like he knows his audience so well. Like he has them fishing poles already laid out when they come. He knows they like to fish.
Wow.
Yeah, Doug takes it to another level. I was like, damn. Like if a concert's coming, he sends him an email for the concert, but he goes and buys them tickets for the concert. I'm like, damn, bro, that's crazy. And they're guaranteed to come. Like, hey, like they're coming. That was next level. It's so much. And it's one of those things, like you said, Michael, it's one of those things that you just kind of have to spend time doing it. He's been doing it 30 damn years. So, I mean, so.
Yeah. It's definitely time. And like, that's a lot of work. I respect people that really take the hospitality to that level. I think that was kind of like, that's the Airbnb. That was the maybe Airbnb ethos, like just really host is there guiding them through a neighborhood, and like, bless them that they do that. That's great to hear. I love that. I love to hear that. We got to figure out a way to do it like that fits what we do. We're kind of the opposite in a way where like we try to talk to the guests as little as possible.
Same here.
like it's a win if they never talk to us, is actually and get us a 5-star review. That's actually a win, right? Because all the automated messages, everything is like they have everything they need. They don't need us. But yeah, that doesn't translate. You're right. That doesn't translate into direct bookings. That's just
that's funny you say that, because I am the very much same way on Airbnb. When I do get them, because once they're on Airbnb, I do try to, I try to guide them as much as possible to book direct, like the stay fi and stuff. But I am like that. I'm kind of like, hopefully talk to me as least possible. I don't mind direct booking guests call me, because they are a great source of sending someone else to your place. That is a good thing about it.
For sure. Yeah, look, that's definitely something that take a note of. I'll definitely listen to Doug and Rose. That's something that we can definitely improve on. We're just trying to, right now is just like trying to get more for us. We think arbitrage in 2023 is going to be like, I think arbitrage in the we actually didn't really grow last year because the rents were crazy, right? Like there was like very little supply, and the rents were 25% year over year, like increases. So rents were crazy, no concessions, really no supply. And we're like competing. It was funny. I was talking to someone today that owned a building. He said they had to get they had to get some work done on the roof. It was $1 million that got quoted. They waited for a little bit, and then during like last year, there was like the vendor came back and said it was like 2.4 million to fix it, and they're like, no, we're gonna wait. And then they waited like till they just signed a contract with them like a few weeks ago, and it's back on at 800K. So just a sense. I mean, it's just one example. It's just like, this pricing was just crazy. So we waited. So we waited till like the market was just more rational. We did our underwriting like this. We can't make money here, so we didn't do it. Just waited, be patient. And now we're seeing deals for like 3 months up front, 3.5 months up front. Significant discount to asking rent. More friendly tenant terms to us, because it's winter and people are worried. There's more inventory coming online. So, it's the thing. You gotta, sometimes the best thing to do is nothing, right? Or sometimes the best thing to do is arbitrage. Sometimes to buy, just have different skill sets. So when whatever market condition you're in, you can still thrive and still make money, right? Ultimately, the end is to make, the goal isn't to like be busy and like, just like hustle culture. We're like, I gotta be doing something, right? Sometimes the better thing to do is just like do the research and just wait. And then when the time comes, like right now, like we think it's a good time. Got these 13 units. We're looking at 40 more, and we didn't grow anything in the last few years, or last year, 2 months in Philly. But now we're gonna, put the pedal to the metal.
I hope the listeners just heard that gem you just dropped. That's one gem that about arbitrage people don't really pick up on. If you pick them up in the wintertime, get way better rates, way better concessions. You pick up arbitrage, that's the perfect time to pick up arbitrage, in the dead middle of winter or going do it.
No, I want to pick up units in the middle of January, right? So that like my first month, it's going to be bad, but it's going to be bad anyway. So I discount it. get some guests in there, and then when March comes out, and I have a 5-star, 8 reviews, all good reviews, because like they didn't pay that much, and like it's a brand new place, so like they love it, and that's when the high value bookings come, right? Like you don't want to launch when it's busy, right? Because you have to give low rates, so you're losing money, and when you should be making the most money, right? So like I'd rather discount. If I want to make $100, I mean, if I'm going to charge $100, I'll go to $80. It's fine. I lose $20. But if I'm like, it should be 400, I get 20% of that. I mean, $80 back just to get it booked. Like that math just doesn't work for me. But that also, you need experience doing that. You need money too, right? Because then you're gonna be, kind of pretty light those first few months. So you got to make sure that you have a reserve, right? So that if the winter is colder than you think, you can still be okay, and you don't panic.
Yeah. The main word I heard from that was patience, man, because like so many people want to do something right away, right? And people that that took our little course that we did a little a little thing back a few months ago, and they were all hyped up about getting into it and everything. They never did, which is most people. They never jump into it. But then there's some that just want to jump into it right away, get whatever rent they can, and overpay, just to get in the game. Whereas a little patience, back then they were dictating, no, this is the rent, no concessions, no nothing. Now it's starting to crack a little. I mean, I have a buddy that contributes for BiggerPockets, pretty big, and he pretty, not to toot my own horn, but he's a pretty big dude in BiggerPockets. But he called me up, FaceTime. He's like, because I put a comment on one of his things. Hey, let me do some short-term rentals at your brand new complex you're putting up, and he was pretty much saying, hey, why would I do that? I'm getting top of the market rent. I'm getting this much money. I'm getting all my rents. I mean, I'm getting 100% occupancy. Why would I give some to like someone who wants to do short-term rentals? It doesn't make any sense. And I was like, you're right, dude. I mean, if you have no trouble filling your units and you have no trouble getting the top dollar, for every single unit, that's fine. And we were in a time where that was happening, It's not like that anymore. I mean, things are coming down. And so that's when we were able to get good deals and get in there and say, hey, you're at 50% occupancy. We can help with that. We can grab a few units and we can do some midterm, short-term rentals in your place, and they'll give them to us. It just depends on the time, and the timing is a huge thing, and being patient and getting those good deals.
Yeah, like you're right. Just being patient, right? Doing the work up front, underwriting the deal properly. And then you're going to make money, right? You're going to make money consistently. Like that is the goal of this, is to make money. The goal of this isn't how many doors you get, how much revenue you have, right? It's how much money you're making. And, gosh, if you're making $300 a month and you're working your butt off, managing short-term rentals, like that doesn't pencil for me either. Like it has to make enough money for it to be worth the time. Cause it's now we've automated it, but in the beginning, like it's definitely work. Like, you're working hard.
Sure.
Right.
Big time, man. So who has the best cheesesteak?
I forgot the name. It's not Pat and Gino's.
So there's Pat's and Gino's. Those are the two everybody knows, right?
I should have just said Pat and Gino's. I should have said Pat or Gino's just to. Now there's a place by the Home Depot actually, in South Philly that's like really, really, really good. It's like 5 minutes from the it's called John's, actually, John's Barbecue. It's like right on the railroad tracks in the kind of South Philly there. It's only open like certain times of the day, but it's like a really, really good cheesesteak there. So that's where I go. I forgot the name.
Oh, nice.
Check it out, because I'm supposed to be going to the Northeast here soon. That's the only part of the United States I have not been to. So, and
really?
I was supposed to go, but COVID hit and took me out. Couldn't go. So yeah.
I'll tell a quick story real quick. Yeah. So because a few years back, I mean, I guess it was the first time that the Powerball passed $1 billion, whatever. My dad was saying, we got to buy tickets. I was like, I don't play that shit, whatever. He's like, no. Because I work, I still work. This is my last year with the airlines, but I still work for an airline where we, fly for free, whatever. He said, let's hop on a plane and go to Philadelphia and buy some lottery tickets. I'm like, why the hell are we going to go to Philadelphia? He's like, because I studied it. 13 of the past 15 Powerball winners are from that area, the Northeast and the Philadelphia, Pennsylvania area. I was like, what? He's like, yeah, I saw it on the news. I was like, oh. I was like, he was bugging me. All right, freaking, let's fly to Philly. You're buying me some cheesesteaks, though. I'm gonna get us on a plane, but you're buying us some cheesesteaks. And we talked to some people on the plane, and we're saying, okay, which one should we go? Pat's or Geno's? That's all we ever heard of. That's all ever here in Texas. We have Pat's and Geno's. He goes, don't go to those tourist spots. He goes, go to this place over here. Take this road over here. It's called Steve's Prince of Steaks. You might have heard of it. I never heard of it. Whatever. A little freaking hole in the wall, whatever. We went in there, and like I said, we flew in, took the train, freaking, graffiti fucking scenery all the way down to the downtown area. I was like, no, this is a gritty ass city, man. This is in the wintertime too. And then we went to this Steve's Prince of Steaks, a hole in the wall, fucking carpeted, peeling off. I mean, but the cheesesteak was fucking out of this world, dude. Nice. And they said, don't get whip. What's it called? Whip. The cheese whiz on. Don't get cheese whiz on it. Get this provolone. Get that whatever. I did the cheese whiz. I got to do cheese whiz. Anyways, fresh vegetables, fresh slices of these steaks. I mean, this thing was amazing, right? So I do remember that. So they said to stay away from those touristy spots. Go to this Steve's Prince of Steaks. You said another one that's probably pretty good, really good. We bought like a freaking, everybody heard that we're going to Philadelphia, and so we bought like 500 of these damn lotto tickets. I think we didn't hit nothing, and it was an experience. I'll talk about it the rest of my life. So I'm cool. I'm glad I did it, but I was really not too impressed with Philadelphia, man. I wasn't really. It was gritty. It was gritty.
It's definitely a gritty city. But the food scene there is actually pretty legit. And coming from New York City, there's some really good restaurants there. But people go to Philadelphia, and that's the thing on the market side, right? Like you want to find markets that there's a lot of different people come, right? So you have a lot of different sources of demand. Like Philly has the sports, it's business, has education, right? Has a lot of universities there, has a lot of hospitals there, and it's in the Northeast, right? So Northeast, higher ADRs, people have more money to spend. So that's, I don't want to keep pitching Philly because I got a bunch of people listening to podcasts and I'm going to be my competitors. So that's actually really bad. So don't come at all. Go to Dallas, Fort Worth.
Oh man,
damn. Right, Sean, our buddy Sean Rasijic, he's in Philly, and he was getting his ass kicked. So he's not a big fan, and he's a lot more followers than we do. So yeah, I don't think a lot of people are flooding Philly anytime soon.
Yeah. No, Sean's doing great. Sean, I think he just got a penthouse or something like that. So he's doing well.
He's balling.
We went to his last penthouse before I think he turned it into a peer space. So it was a really cool penthouse, man. So he's a real cool dude, fan of the show. So
he's pimping, yeah. But he was having a lot of troubles in Philly though because of the regulations and stuff.
Oh yeah.
But if he goes your route and gets commercial, he's cool. He's good.
Yeah, like we learned our lesson, right? So just we got our bumps and bruises in New York, and also it's just not it actually is a blessing in disguise because now we have to operate remotely, right? I mean, Philly is still an hour and a half drive. Like I can't say never. I did one time like an emergency drive down there to like fix something, which ended up not being an emergency at all. So that was kind of a waste of a 4 hour round trip drive. But when you have properties away from you, you actually have to force yourself to develop the systems and people so that when something goes wrong, like that it can operate by itself, right? Because you just can't physically be there. So I think that's just a blessing because if it's further away, then you can actually run a real business. So for me, it's like, if you're always working and if you're the one cleaning or you're the one doing all the customer service and there's no path for you to get out, I don't consider that a business, right? You really just kind of bought yourself another job because without you, there'd be no business. So it's not really a business should be able to operate without the owner there, right? That's a real bit. So that's like a business that has its own for the Airbnb game. Then it's like its own cleaners, maintenance, customer service, right? That you're just there making sure that everything works right. And that's when you can actually build the business. And so that's what I always like. That's what I always preach to people too, is like, get units that are profitable enough to support a cost structure that takes you out of it. Because if you're always in it, then you're never going to be able to grow, and you won't be able to. It's hard to kind of achieve those aspirations that you have for yourself before you did all the hard work and put all that blood, sweat, put all that money into it too. I mean, $10K for a 2-bedroom, it's still $10,000 cash. It's still real money. You can finance it on credit cards, do all that stuff, but in the end, like, you're still on the hook for that money. And just want people to make money from that, right? And not be not have this fire sales where they have to get out for nothing, because it's painful.
Yeah.
So yeah, just like balance, like for us, it's like, I'm older, I'm 42 years old, right? Just seen a lot. Like, it's just balance, right? Just like, not too hot, not too cold, just like steady Eddie, like grow, live your life, take care of your kids, make money, be happy, go to the gym, be healthy, like, just all those things, just enjoy life.
There you go, man. Like,
So,
ain't nothing about. Go ahead, Steve.
No. I tell my partner Federico, we built this business together. We arbitrage, own, manage over 70 units. You know what I'm saying? And so we've grown this in the past couple of years, and recently, some of our clients are struggling. And so it's just been the oversaturation in certain markets, and people are freaking out. The profits aren't what they used to be right now, and this and that. But I told him, dude, it's the cycle of any business. Horse and buggies came along back a long time ago. I bet the first dude that made a horse and buggy was killing it, right?
Yeah.
Then everybody made horse and buggies, and he's like, fuck. But I mean, it's just every single business, right? But you got to make the best horse and buggy, I guess. You got to make the best, like you said, make a premium quality product that can, outlast, these scrubs that come to the market that start trying to price their thing as low as possible and giving a shitty product. But you just make a great product and making a good profit at a good price, and you're just gonna outlast these people. I said right now it's oversaturated, but all these people are going to go away as soon as their arbitrage leases, end, or even before. Even before, I'm hearing a lot of these complexes saying, these people are just, a lot of people are just giving up their lease, walking out, whatever, evictions. They're doing evictions left and right. And so it's just the cycle of any business. As long as we're doing it as best we can, providing a good product, don't worry about these scrubs that come to the market, try to drive the prices down. They're going to go away.
Yeah, I mean, competing on price is a loser's game. You're going to attract the wrong people, and it's going to cause real problems for you. So yeah, it's going to shake out in the next 12, 18 months. A lot of people that got in, past 6-9 months that didn't do it right. They're going to have to learn. They're going to have to learn they've been playing the game on easy mode for the last
I like that
time, for the last 6-9 months. But the game's gonna go on hard mode real soon. So, like, that boss is not gonna be that easy to beat anymore. So you gotta be careful. And you're competing against you're competing against people like me, right? People like you, like people that have systems, have people. If you're like a solo operator there that still trying to figure things out. If you're just on Airbnb, for example, right? Like, you need to be on all platforms. I tell everyone that. Like, you gotta be. We're on Booking, we're on VRBO, we're on Expedia. Like, those things are like, that's a must-have for like an STR business, but it's not easy. It's easy to say, it's hard to do, right? You got to actually learn how to use booking.com and deal with their policies. You got to learn how to like invoice properly. You got to learn how to avoid chargebacks and manage messaging, managing calendars, like all these different things. You got to manage different review processes, different damage policies, and a lot of people can't do that. That's where that, if you can, right, then you are going to be you got to be able to do things that other people can't, right? That's how you're gonna be successful. Because if you're just doing everything, if you're just on Price Labs and Airbnb and getting the $8,000 like package from IKEA, you're just like everyone else. And it works when the game's on easy mode, but it does not work when the game's on medium or hard mode. And like, that's where the game is being played now. So just, level up or level out or get out.
Boom, level up or level out. I love that.
Level out.
I think that's a good place to end this podcast. What do you think, Myka?
Yes, sir, man. Mike, man, thank you for coming on and dropping these gems, man. I love how you've got a diversified portfolio. You got the arbitrage side, you got the owner side, and man, this is really good talking to you. I'm going to be in touch with you and Alex. I'm about to slide in Alex's DMs now, actually. But yeah, I love that tip you gave out.
Shout out to Alex. It's all his idea. I'm just copying his. So no, thanks for having me on, guys. No, this is really fun. Like, you guys, great show. And thanks for letting me tell the story.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Thanks for hopping on, bro. Where can people find you?
Best place to find me is on Instagram. My handle is Michael Chang BNB, MICHAELCHANG BNB. That's where I talk about my journey, and if I can be helpful for you there, send me a DM, and hopefully I can be of service to you.
Definitely.
Awesome, bro. Thanks for hopping on, and we will hopefully talk to you again in the future.
Likewise. Thanks again for having me on.
All right.
Later.
Man, that was another good episode, man. He dropped a lot of good gems, man. I love that vacation rental market play. I think that's definitely something I'm going to get into in the future. Vacation rentals and multifamily, because vacation rental markets, it's the money people make. It's insane in that high season. Insane.
It is. And so many, and I always tell my stories about Padre. So many of these places come, hey, fully furnished. So that's a perk. And then I've talked to designers before, like Sarah and them, like, first thing we do is throw away all that stuff they got in there. It's like, seriously. It don't matter. Fully furnished ain't really a perk. It's just furniture you got to get rid of.
It really is, man. And one thing he said, I actually wrote down something. I need to when you've been in, okay, so me and you, we've been doing this 6 years now, right? Our units, and I saw a video from TJ, he said this too. Back in the day, it's like what you always say. You could have just went and got some IKEA shit, thrown in the house, and boom.
Grandma's furniture, yeah.
Exactly. But then if you have units that you own and been operating a while, this is a cost that people don't really talk about. You have to have time to revamp those units. That is something people don't talk about, and that's something I have to do right now. I just thought about it. I have one unit. It's been operating for like 6 years, right? My first house that I had, it's been operating for like 6 years. But the market's changed, right? I need a king size bed in there. When I was doing it back in the day, I was just doing the queens in every room. I'm like, damn, I forgot to put a king size bed in there. And my unit that I opened up, the newer one, it's more updated than the one that has like 200 reviews. You know what I mean? So I'm like, well, damn, I got to update it to look like that one with the king size bed. So that's one thing people do take into account when you do own these properties. And I wish I would have asked him about that, because I know he's been doing the vacation rental markets for a while. After you've owned a unit for a while, new things come into place. You have to be ready to upgrade that unit. Like right now, one thing I'm doing, I'm putting rice cookers in all my places. That's one new thing that the Airbnb and the other platforms are, putting as a checkbox, rice cookers, bread makers and stuff. But yeah, that's one thing that revamp cost.
Yeah, that kind of reminds me, as my buddy David Law, David Law, he helped out. Yeah, D Law. He's been in the hotel industry for fucking 30-40 years. He's been a long time, right? Yeah. So they've been doing this for years. They've been doing like, okay, we know the furniture is functional. The furniture looks, it's okay. It's not bad, whatever. But every few years they do a whole complete facelift, man. And we can pick up furniture there from hotels for a decent price, and it still looks good, still functions, still nice, nice beds, nice sofas, whatever. But they know they can't just keep this old shit in there. It's part of their business plan. They gotta keep reinventing themselves. They gotta keep making what's popular now, what's modern, what's good looking now. Even if it looks, even if it's functional and everything's fine and they're making all right profits, they gotta look to the future. We gotta switch this shit out every few years. We can't just stay complacent.
I love you said that, man, because that's actually a good. If you go stay at like a 5-star hotel, look at the stuff they have up in there. Like, it's there for a reason. These people have done markets researches on everything and throwing that stuff out. Because I remember when we talked to Kim and Ann, and that's how they started their business. Was they went to the people, they got all the stuff from the hotels that they were getting rid of, and that's how they started their business. So yeah, man, that revamp, that's huge, man. And hotels are on top of that. Like, one thing I seen at the last hotel I stayed, it was actually Texas Live. They have those new beds now, where it's not really, it's just a headboard, but it's attached to the wall, but they have lights all around it. After you turn the lights on, it goes all around. Man, there's so much stuff. If if you have the budget, man, if you could deck your place out like a hotel, do hotels, like if nice hotels are decked out. They just don't have kitchens and stuff. But yeah, you can learn a lot from that.
Yeah. So we always got to keep changing, keep grinding, keep reinventing ourselves and our businesses. We can't stay complacent.
Facts, man. Facts. This is a very good episode, man. Yeah, y'all definitely thank y'all for continuing to listen. Hit us up, liveletthrive@gmail.com. Find us on Facebook, Instagram. I'm back on Instagram. I'm going to try to stay there for a while this time. Facebook, Instagram, wherever else you can find us. Follow at Live Let Thrive. And then also, we are going to be launching our YouTube membership in about a couple weeks. And once we get some videos up, just some, content, some snipped content, and then some content that you've never seen before. We're going to get that launched. And y'all remember to subscribe. And then once we have that up, go ahead and join. Little cheap cost, $9.99 a month. And yeah, man, Stevie Stacks.
Argest Rentals, ARGEST Rentals at gmail.com. Not gmail.com, just the .com. Forget the Gmail. ArgestRentals.com. That's my company. We'll hook you up. We'll manage your units so good, and we'll find you units. We're finding turnkeys for you too, man. Hit me up, Stevie Stacks. You'll talk to me. You'll talk to the man, the legend, the myth, all that stuff. And ugly houses, crack houses, trap houses. Hit up Myka.
There you go. Ugly houses, trap houses, crack houses. I'm about to put that on a bandit sign. Oh, man. Yeah, hit me up. And yeah, if you got anything for sale, keep us in mind. DFW, Central Arkansas, Houston, let us know. Off market only. And yeah, thank y'all for continuing to listen to us. And we are out.
Peace.
Later.
Thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of Live, Let, Thrive. Be sure to tune in next week for all the latest in the world of Airbnb and all that entails. Bye-bye.